I went to Hammond, America, last weekend. Southeastern Louisiana hosted LSU, and they had a tremendous crowd. Despite some kind of the temps weren't cold, but it was just cold wind. I mean, it made the game play funny just because it was so windy and it was swirling a little bit. You hit it in the air, and you really didn't know where the ball was going. It was one ball hit straight to left field. Left fielder calls it, and he's following it, and he's following it, and it actually lands for a double in dead center field. And the center fielder's just standing there watching the left fielder. I mean, it was that kind of conditions. So it wasn't great to pitch or hit in, honestly, and certainly it was terrible to field in. So I'm not sure, what I learned other than just watching guys move, watching velo, that sort of stuff, seeing how LSU substituted, seeing how they built the lineup, those sorts of things. But certainly one of the takeaways, I wanted to see how Derek Curiel looked in center, and he certainly looks like he's going to be um, he's going to be fine there. But Chris Stanfield in left, he made two diving catches, and I talked about the conditions, right? Ran a long way and had to extend to make the catch. I mean, he looked good in the leadoff spot. He was one of he had a good day from what I saw. The other guy that um, really stood out for me was Zach York. And, he's a transfer. He was at Grand Canyon last year. And he's this bigger than life character, right? He's like 6'4", he's probably maybe 6'3".
It's a Sunny D body.
Yeah, it's like 300 pounds ish. And he moves really well around first base. And that was the shocking thing for me, because you see that body and you're not expecting, a nimble footwork at first base. And certainly, if he was a little leaner, he'd probably be even more nimble. But he was a pretty good first baseman over there, which was surprising. And he hit a home run in that wind, which is which was interesting. Certainly, he had to kind of hit through it to get it out of there. So it looks good at the plate. I mean, I think he's going to be the first baseman, and he's going to hit, fourth or fifth in that lineup. Really liked the top of the lineup, right? With Stanfield, Curiel, Jake Brown has had a tremendous fall with York behind him. I mean, that's top, 4 or 5. Aaron Beatty's had a really good fall. I think he's going to be right in that mix too. Some questions behind that, not really from that how good are they going to be, but who's going to fill out the rest of that lineup? Because like with a lot of these teams, there's so many contenders.
Yeah, a couple things there. One is I'm also fascinated by York over at first base. He's a little bit of at least to this point, a walking contradiction, where you see that body and you expect slow-footed power hitter, and what you have instead is a fairly nimble guy whose offensive profile is hit over power. Now, he has power,
right?
But it's a real hit tool. I mean, it is not that dissimilar from Sonny DeShera, honestly. Sonny DeShera had displayed more power in his career, but yeah, I mean, it's a real hit tool. He's a hitter, not just a strong guy who runs into a baseball every once in a while.
Right.
And I'm also, you mentioned Stanfield and left, and I think that's when you want to talk about the things that set the programs that are operating at the highest of high levels, what can set them apart is something like Chris Stanfield, who played center field all of last year with Derek Curiel in left, being willing to be like, all right, I'll go back to left. Because it's not like different personnel. It's the same dudes. Right. All that's different is that it's a year. Derek Curiel's a year more experienced, and that's probably something that Jay Johnson sees as being the difference there. But it would be really easy for Stanfield to be like, you know what, I'm going to transfer and go somewhere where I can play center, or I'm going to sign, whatever, because I'm sure there was enough draft interest he could have signed for peanuts, I'm sure, or for whatever, and gone and played pro baseball. But instead, he said, yeah, I'll play left, and LSU's better for it. So it's just, that's one of those small things that I think gets looked over a lot of times. But when you're operating at that kind of level, that's the kind of thing that that happens, that ends up making your team better than it would have been otherwise, that doesn't get the headlines and make a lot of news.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point. Some other guys that kind of that I think are going to be in the thick of the LSU lineup all year. Trent Caraway, I think he's going to be the third baseman. Um, Oregon State transfer, showed some good bat to ball, moves pretty well out there. Braden Simpson, another transfer. Where was he? High Point, yeah. He's probably going to play second baseman, but he's a versatile guy, can play in a lot of different places. Um, Freshman caught my eye, Mason Braun. I think it's going to be hard to keep him out of the lineup. He's going to find a way in. That outfield is going to be tough to crack with Brown, Stanfield, and Curiel. So maybe he's going to see some action at DH and spell those guys if they need it. Um, that's and I think Daniel Harden is another guy who I wasn't sure what his role would be, but I think he's going to have one, as a fourth outfielder or a DH, something like that. Then on the mound, Kason Evans looked like an SEC ace, man. I mean, he's going to transition to the starting rotation. And remember last year, he was in it some. And he also closed, but he was just a key arm in that run. And he looks like he's going to be the Friday guy. I mean, he looked really good. William Schmidt threw more breaking balls than I remembered from last year, and it suited him. I mean, he still got that, still got the fire, but it was he looks improved to me. He looks like somebody who's certainly going to get every opportunity to start. The talent is there. Another guy that really caught my eyes, freshman Marcos Paz. Saw him for an inning. I mean, he looks like the next one. I mean, that he's freshman coming off Tommy John, so they'll work him slowly, but certainly by SEC play, he's gonna have an important role. Not sure what it's gonna be. Let's see who else caught my eye.
While you're looking
Yeah.
up for your next guy, I was going to say
Mm-hmm.
Schmidt is someone who's interesting to me because it felt like he was right there with he and Kason Evans were both like right there early last season, and it just felt like
Mm-hmm.
Evans maybe advanced a little bit quicker
Mm-hmm.
late last season, and Schmidt, through no fault of his own, just it was a good team. Obviously, they won the
Mm-hmm.
national title. It just didn't get as many opportunities late, and so
Right.
it's a good shout out because like there was a lot of excitement about him early in the year when he was pitching in midweeks, then he kind of graduated off of midweeks, and so he's a name that I hadn't thought a lot about, but you're right to highlight him because if he picks up where he left off, he's going to be right in the middle of it.
Right. The guy I was trying to think of that caught me by surprise, honestly. Grant Fontenot. He's a program guy. I think it's his fourth or fifth year, at LSU. Came in and pitched, late in the first game, and it was real stuff, right? I mean, if he pitches like that, he's going to get a chance to help this team out of the pen. It was, you always love it. We talked about this some with Griffin Graves at Auburn, when a guy puts in his dues and it, is talented, and it just suddenly clicks. And it looks like for him, at least in a small sample size, he's somebody who can help them. I think another one to watch. What is Maverick Rizzi's role? No questioning the stuff. He's this 6'8", 6'9" guy, throws 100 miles an hour or so. What's that going to look like? He's got a good breaking ball. What's his role? Of course, the day I saw him, he struggled to locate a little bit, but you can't question the stuff. And I do think whether he's a back end guy or whether you stretch him out and he becomes the third starter, I don't know, but he's going to have. If LSU gets where they want to go, he's going to play a big role in it. And I felt like he's an important piece for them.
Yeah, he was certainly great in the Cape. I mean, the best single inning I saw pitched on the Cape was a Maverick Rizzi inning.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just the fastball is untouchable and the slider was better,
Yeah.
for lack of a better way of putting it, better
Mm-hmm.
than the fastball. So yeah, it's just embarrassment of riches is the phrase that comes to mind where, it's more interesting to see. Some teams were asking who are going to be the guys, and with other
Yeah.
teams we're asking like who are going to be the guys left out essentially because,
Yeah.
there's not going to be enough innings. And that's, when coaches talk about wanting competition in the fall and competition in the lead up to the season. That's the kind of stuff they're talking about, is having a team like that.
Right. The day I was there, they followed Case and Evans by piggybacking Cooper Moore and Cooper Williams, and they were both really good. Uh, Evans was better, but he set such a high standard, and they were really good. I mean, clean innings, limited base runners, that sort of thing. Both of those guys are going to have roles. It's just a question of, are they midweek starters? Are they weekend bullpen guys? Or are they both? And you figure it out as you go. But they both were impressive.